Hello, guys. Welcome to the third edition of Stand-Up Politics, an original creation of React Today as part of the World's World Project. As always, today we're going to talk a little bit about politics, stand-up politics, and that is something that I want you to join me to share. Why? We live in the same world. We have a little planet that goes around the sun 365 days and sometimes 364. So the point is, what are we going to do about this? We the people, because we the people are in the hands of stupid idiots that are controlling our world. And those stupid idiots are generally bankers or people that work for the bankers that control the how do you call that? Pyramid of who is boss. First is the old seeing eye that they call. And that old seeing eye is nothing else but in the dollar, $1 bill. It's in the symbols and all that crap for centuries. Why is that? I say it again. It's because we haven't been democratic whatsoever, and we the people have never had a chance to really govern our world. And if we the people keep letting this on happening, we will never be in control of the world. So stand-up politics stands for exactly that. And that is for us, the country and the world, to lead our own countries, our own sovereignty, instead of super rich people that uses our information and uses our well-being, our workforce, to make themselves rich. Karl Marx talked about it. Before him, there was many others that talk about it. After him, there's many others that have talked about it. Let's say Adam Smith talked about it. He was a little sincere, even though he was from a class that it was spreading wealth all around England and expanding the Empire of England. He noticed that, oh my God, what we're doing is totally wrong. We need to think about the people. It's okay that we are rich and we have a lot of money, and the bankers and the systems and the societies and the enterprises that we have created around the world, but through colonization, through power, through dominion, through genocide, because the genocide issue, according to Noam Chomsky, has to do with what Israel is doing now with Palestine. Apparently, Israel learned all these issues from the Brits, but I don't think so. If you see the Bible and you see the Prime Minister of Israel speaking about Amalek, and you see the Mr. Smotrich just a few days ago saying, we're going to take over South Lebanon. And you know what? We're going to declare that South Lebanon is part of Israel now. Why? Because they want the gas and oil under the ocean and under the ground that belongs to not only Palestine, but also all the countries that surround Israel, in order for this war to give Israel the chance to export the oil that they have taken over from other countries. A land without people for people without land. Oh my God! It was 100 years ago, wasn't it? When this guy said, okay, Mr. Herzl, oh my God, we need a piece of land for all the Jews, poor Jews. We have nothing but a spread around the world. And according to the Bible, to Babylon. And what they did from Babylon, I said that before, nothing but worship the idols. And they say Genesis 12:3. I already explained that in the last program. No, it doesn't apply. Genesis 12:3 died in that same moment, because from Genesis to Exodus and Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy is nothing but take over, grab all the positions that you can grab in order for you to become rich and powerful, because who has the money, the golden calf of Genesis and Exodus, will control the world, because people are ambitious. Forget about the Ten Commandments. We don't need the Ten Commandments. What we need is the golden calf. As long as we pursue gold as our only goal, we will have control over the people. We can bribe, we can destroy, we can put people against each other, we can divide and conquer, etc., etc., etc. That's a very Jewish way to do things, and is in the Bible. Okay, yeah. Genesis 12 ended right there, and especially Genesis 12:3. I explained that because of the prophets. Read Jeremiah, read Hosea, read Daniel. Oh my God. Read the rest of the prophets, that they were all killed or evicted from the land of Israel. And even God said, okay, I have to get rid of these people because they don't obey my commandments. They don't care about the law. They just want and pursue, according to Deuteronomy. In many of the versicles and chapters of Deuteronomy, take over, control, 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 so that the land of Israel can expand and the Israeli people can multiply and take over the world. Again, it's an invasive species. That is the characteristic of an invasive species. Not only animal invasive species take over the foreign environments by mixing with their races, by mixing with the other species, but taking over their environment. That's what Israel is. Israel is an invasive species that is going to take over Donald Trump. Donald Trump has already been taken over. The British Empire has already been taken over since the 18th or 17th century. From the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th century, that's for sure. Look who's prime minister in England. Keir Starmer. Who's that guy? Well, he's a guy that obeys whatever the Israeli lobby tell them to do. That's why they destituted the Labour Party leader a few years ago, which was in conversations with Bernie Sanders, and this guy from the Labour Party. I forgot his name right now. I'm sorry about that, but I will put it in the notes. Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, thanks, memory. The neurons came together and said, yeah, Jeremy Corbyn, well, he's not anymore. The point I want to you British people to understand is that you're being already conquered, and you have been conquered the same with the United States. You have been conquered, dude, by an invasive species that you won't recognize because you're too busy saying, hey, the Muslims are taking over. It's the Muslims. It's nobody else but the Muslims. And in between those centuries, there's nothing but fights between, no, it's the Muslims that want to take over. No, it's the Christians that want to take over. Did Richard III, or Richard the Lion King, took over Jerusalem? No, he couldn't. And he died. Killed by a peasant, maybe a Muslim peasant that they just throw an arrow and was lucky to kill the king and whoa, celebrated. Who cares about that? History, as written by the victors, it's a lie because they have always lied, and the victors are nothing but the representation of the guys behind the curtains. And the guys behind the curtains is not the Wizard of Oz only, it's the bankers. It's the people that have control over the world. And who control the world right now? The Prime Minister of Germany, I already said it. Why I'm repeating this? Because it's important for us, the country and the world, here in Canada, there in the United States, in the 27 countries in the European Union, and the Western tradition, including Australia, New Zealand, Finland, all these countries that used to be the leaders of the world because of their scientific view, because their scientific endeavors, because of their scientific discipline, are now taken over by foreign entities, which is the State of Israel since 1948, especially from the beginning, well, centuries ago, with the Sassoon brothers and the family, and then the Rothschilds and the mayors that became the Rothschilds, and all these families and stuff that you might say it's conspiracy theories. No, these are conspiracy facts. No. Who is controlling the United States right now, if not the State of Israel? The President Donald Trump just said yesterday, I will prohibit the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to attack Iran again, or to attack this, or to attack there, and not the infrastructure or the energy sources of Iran. No way, because Iran is attacking our interest, the American interest, in all these prostituted countries of Islam, that I'm ashamed to say I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Christian. But when I see Saudi Arabia, when I see Qatar, when I see the United Arab Emirates, when I see Bahrain, when I see these countries attacking for 11 years, 9 to 11 years, Yemen, poor people, man, but devoted Muslims, etc., because they're super rich and they have agreements with the power of the Golden Calf. And the Golden Calf has taken over the Saudi regime and all these monarchies in the countries of the Gulf. And the countries of the Gulf obey and only live by the United States prostituted government for Israel. That's it. I have spoken about this. Why do I say this? Because right now the war in Iran is growing. And when the war in Iran is growing, while the war in Iran is growing, we the people are paying higher prices before the war was already because of the pandemic. We have to remember this. The pharmaceutical industry, the tobacco industry, the oil and gas industry, the Israeli lobby, the strongest of all of them. Everybody lobby in the United States, especially after 2014, when there was a movement that said, hey, corporate citizens have the right to talk. Corporate citizens have the right to speak. If you don't let us speak as citizens, whether we are corporate, well, we are being denied the First Amendment, which is the right to speak, the right to tell your opinion, the right to say, even if you don't like it, something that you need to say, whether it's against the government, against a person, against a corporation, against an institution, you have the right to say it. But since then, especially after 1945, but the creation of the State of Israel, the United States of America, the Western tradition, all the scientific development that the Western tradition, again, the 27 countries in Europe, Nordic countries, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, have been taken over by this parasitic invasive species that is the State of Israel that stops you from speaking and talking. So when they said, if you don't let us corporate citizens, which give jobs to the people, which are the private entities, because the state is stupid, the states cannot work. No. Henry Kissinger said, no way, we don't want another Japan south of the border, referring to Mexico. And Mexico, corrupted by the influence of the United States, of Israel, well, gave the United States, like is happening now in Venezuela, the rights to take over their oil. The same that happens happened in before 1953, when Mohammad Mossadegh said, hey, we are receiving 16 to 18% of our royalties. These people, that is the British Oil Corporation, now called BP, British Petroleum, is giving us only 16 to 18% of revenue of our royalties, of the royalties that our country produce for them. I don't think so. We're going to nationalize, we're going to produce our own oil, we're going to take care of this, and what happened? He got coup d'etat. He was the first prime minister in Iran that was elected publicly in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, Iran is the Persians, and if you have read something about the Persians, like I have, well, yeah, there is a millenary culture that also gave way to the Jewish people to get back to their country and help them reconstruct their temple with their own gold, with the Persian gold, with the Iranian gold, after they were out of the slavery and all the Babylonian captivity. They don't remember that. They don't want you to remember that. They only want you to remember their fake of Genesis 3:12. Like I said, the prophets proved them wrong. Genesis 3:12 is death. Ted Cruz is death. All you senators, holy fuck, Lindsey Graham, and all these people that are receiving money, men and women, they're now saying, hey, I'm going to represent Our constituency, here and there and everywhere in America, they're taking money from the Israeli lobby. The Israeli lobby is the golden calf from Moses' days. As long as we still live in this, like I told George Galloway, hey, dude, remember 2,300 years ago when Socrates, Thrasymachus, and Plato were speaking about what is justice? And Thrasymachus said, justice is what is in the interest of the strong. Well, we have never have since then any democracy, because we the people have never governed ourselves. We the people have never have sovereignty to ourselves or for ourselves. No. The editorials in the books, everything, even Hollywood, all the things that the Western tradition used to be is taking over in the last century or more since the Herzl book, but especially since the creation of the State of Israel. America is not America. Europe is not Europe. The Western tradition has been going down possessed by an entity and a foreign spirit and a foreign intellectual killing virus and a foreign intellectual, not scientific, but astute entity that is the State of Israel in order to take over the politics, the healthcare, every institution. Okay, prove me wrong. How is the Western world, the Western tradition working right now? Poverty in Canada, high rises, places, black rock, black stone taking over. You don't owe anything, even if you write a book, if you publish it on Amazon, if you publish it on whatever other editorial nowadays, it's not yours. You only own a franchise of that book that you wrote with your effort, with your time, with your experience. But no, you don't own it. And if you don't agree with that contract, well, they take you out and you cannot be read by anyone. If we're speaking about books only, when it comes to banking systems, it's the same thing. They know what you owe, they know what you have, they know who are you dealing with, because all this information has been given to Facebook, to Elon Musk, to all these private entities that don't represent the people whatsoever, but themselves, making billions of dollars with our money and our taxes. And not only that, all that profit that they make doesn't trickle down to anybody. It stays up there. I already said it more than once for a decade. Okay, so what is the point? The point is that right now, the United States is going to war against everybody. Like I said 5 or 7 years ago, it's not that we hate Israel or the United States. It's that Israel and the United States are at war against the world. That was 7 years ago. Like in this program, React Today, as part of the World's Wheel Project, we have predicted stuff like that. Oh, what's happening now? It's not only in the Middle East. It's not only against the initiatives of China, which doesn't have to coup d'etat you. I'm not saying that China is not corrupt. China can be corrupt. It has been seen in many situations in Central and South America, how China, in the terms of constructing metros for said Colombia, they have bribed some people too. So it's not that China and Russia and all the countries are just coming clean, but they're not as worse as the Americans or the Europeans against Central and South America or the Global South. That's my point. Since BRICS was created in 2009, the countries that created BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and the associates, they have 10 associates that are firm with the BRICS and the Shanghai Association, the Chinese association banks that were created in 2011 in order to create different associations of economic wealth that can surpass and stay away from the American SWIFT system and the American petrodollar, etc., etc. Especially when Europe with van der Leyen, which has not been elected publicly because she doesn't occupy a office that has been elected by the public, but she makes determinations for European Union. The European Union and the Western tradition is so corrupted in the political class that they have the white supremacy saying, Islam out, and they don't understand. They don't understand that they're being treated like the Europeans treated Central and South America 500 years ago, since 1492. Now, why do I say this? I said it in my discourses 4-5 years ago when the pandemic began to the Canadian people. You have to see my discourses. In my discourses, I said, hey, do you not understand? We Canadians, you Europeans there in the European Union, 27 countries, and after Brexit, and England, the UK, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, England, with the exception of Ireland, you have fallen the same bottle, and that is you have been controlled by a foreign entity, which is a virus. It's a species, a foreign species, that it lives sucking from the others. And it uses editorials before internet was created. Editorials, books, everything, history was controlled by them. Well, it's time for us. It's time for the country. It's time for the world to speak up and say no more. If we don't do this, this civilization is not going to thrive. And we have seen this with Doge. We have seen this with everything that is happening in the world. What happened in Central and South America and the Global South right now is that the United States decided to say, oh yeah, we have a good conversation. A month later, do you remember, January 3rd, as we predicted in this program, speaking with George Galloway also, that, yeah, America is going to take over Venezuela. On January 3rd, 2026, President Maduro and his wife were taken out of using magnetic pulse energy, etc. It's not new. And maybe the cooperation of some intelligence in Venezuela took the president and his wife out. He's still in jail. But now, the president of Venezuela, this lady, has said, okay, American companies are welcome. That was against the will of the people. That was against the will of Cesar Chavez. That was against the will of Mr. Maduro. That was against the will of everybody in Central America. But now, apparently, the companies are getting there. Mr. Trump has made an investment there, which means a conflict of interests. And he has bombarded Cuba. He has with sanctions. I'm pretty sure he might bombard Cuba too. So he's coming for it. But he said just a couple of days ago, yeah, we don't need, we are in conversations with the Iranian people, we are in conversation with the Iranian leaders. It doesn't matter if it's the new Ayatollah, whose father he killed with the Israeli, by initiative of the Israeli government. I have 3 conspiracy theories. The first one is that Osama bin Laden is alive. The second one, they haven't produced a body. Never did produce a body. And not only that, the people that went there to take Osama bin Laden died in a helicopter accident. Wow, how convenient. Not only that, the second conspiracy theory will be that Epstein is alive and well somewhere else. Oh, these people have the money to pull it, man, to pull this out. There's no effort whatsoever. That guy is alive. And the third one is that Qasem Soleimani was killed by Israel, but Donald Trump took the blame in 2020, on his first period, when Qasem Soleimani was assassinated with a general from Iraq trying to find peace and conversations within the peoples of the Middle East. What happened with Iran is the same. Last year, the 12 Days War why was that? Because they killed the negotiators. Because they wanted to speak with America and they wanted to speak with Israel. As always, Israel killed them all. With the help of some friends, MI6, MI5, the United States CIA, etc. So as you can see, we are not that stupid, we the people, and we are against what is going on in the world right now. But the president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, as you never have seen before, said that he's in conversations with Iran, and the Iran prime minister and the Iranian spokesperson said, we have not been in conversations with Donald Trump or any representative from the government of the United States nor Israel in order to come to terms to a peace treaty. Not especially after they killed the peace treaty people last year, and they keep bombarding them in Qatar. this year, and they do whatever they want, killing the people that want to negotiate. But it doesn't end here. The Gulf of Hormuz is not going to open. Iran's going to go through this war for a long term, through the November elections. And not only that, Trump just said, there's going to be bloodshed if I don't win. If people don't vote for me, there's going to be bloodshed in America. We already have ICE. I don't know why there's no a revolution, a civil revolution in America. I don't know why it has not happened yet. But after the announcement that President Trump said, hey, if you don't vote for me, there's going to be hell, there's going to be bloodshed in America. Oh my God, Jesus, he's going to bring the war home. Not only in that way, through a civil war, but he's bringing the war home with the stupidity that Israel is telling them to do. Because according to Max Blumenthal and many others and the people that investigate like this program, I don't have a book here. I'm not reading anything. I just know this. So, yes, let's say it's an improvisation. It is. This is a stand-up politics. Welcome to Stand-Up Politics by Federico Molano on React Today as part of the World's Way Out project. This is a globe. This is our only home. We, the people, need to take over because we don't have to wait another year or another moment to understand that the bankers and the politicians are corrupted to the core by the people behind the scenes, like I said in the beginning, which are the bankers. And these families are families like the Saudi Arabian families and the Gulf countries, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. They don't want to destroy the beautiful countries that they have built with cheap people. I mean, they pay the lowest salaries they can. The people live in the under horrible conditions. And guess what? They are the majority of the people in the little states like Qatar or the United Arab Emirates or Bahrain. It's only immigrants from India, Pakistan, etc. who are the majority of people in those countries. Only the Saudi Arabians might help themselves, but we have to understand that the infrastructure of all those countries is according to the United States infrastructure blueprint. And when you have the blueprint of the Americans in all those countries centralized in very easy, it's supposed to be targeted, that's what Iran is doing. But Saudi Arabia said, we're going to go to war against Iran if they keep on attacking our infrastructure. Well, why did you support the United States of Israel for so long? Now, we have to understand that these are families. These are not people. These are families that control the people in Saudi Arabia and all these countries in the Gulf, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, etc. Because they have a lot of wealth. Like Israel, they have a lot of wealth. So they don't give a damn about the rest of the world. We have a happy life. We have everything. We have health. We have education. We can go to university. We can do drugs. We can smoke a joint and see how they destroy Gaza. Having a few drinks and smoking a joint. Oh, look at the bombs coming to Gaza. Woo! Yay! And they sit down to watch how the Israeli army decided to destroy Gaza. That's proven fact. The same that happens with Bosnia and Herzegovina, where American, British, and Jewish European citizens with money, instead of going to hunt lions in Africa, which is forbidden in many places, but if you have the right money, you can do that. You kill an animal, you kill an elephant, you kill a lion. Instead of killing lions, they kill people. This is documented. I'm not making this up. It's documented. So they went there. Can I kill that kid? Yeah, but it's going to cost you more. How much? 2 times, 3 times more. I don't care. Boom. This is documented. This is how sick the rich people think. This is how sick the rich people are. This is how sick they go outside with Virgin and Elon Musk and all these Jews guys go out of the planet to see, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. But they don't tell to each other. There's 4 or 5 guys there in the same module going around the world, but they don't tell that to each other. That has to be mine, that has to be mine, that has to be mine. They don't tell them to each other. They are so greedy that this is like a black hole. They're going to end up killing each other because there can only be one taking over the whole world. Whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's the Amazon, whether it's the Jews, whether it's the Americans. But there is a problem that Americans and Europeans do not understand, especially their leadership. And that is that there can only be one. And it's not the Europeans, and it's which class, like I said, the intellectual class, the amazing scientific class, the literature class, including the Russians, because Russians is Europe, whether you like it or not, Dostoevsky, etc., Tolstoy, you name it. If you have read them, amazing, passionate stories that they tell that really take you in your mind. But the rich don't think that way. They hate people like that. Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Victor Hugo, whomever. Why? Because they don't care. They want to take over the world, but they don't say between themselves, those 4 or 5 guys that are going around in a satellite, in a module that's going around the Earth, whatever, like an atom, going around the Earth in different directions. And, that has to be mine. Look at Africa. Look at this. Look at that. Look at India. How are we going to do this? America, you have no chance whatsoever. Europe, 27 countries in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, you have no chance if you don't react today to what's going on as peoples. Why? Because these mother rich assholes are going to kill each other. So whomever is behind President Donald Trump, it's going to be worse than President Donald Trump. Whomever is after Donald Trump or after Benjamin Netanyahu, it's going to be worse than Benjamin Netanyahu, because they want the whole world for themselves, and they want not America, not England, not the European Union, nobody else but them to be the kings of the world, so they can brag with other species up there and say, hey, I have a world. Where is it? That in the solar system? Yeah. Heliocentric. Oh, yeah, well, there's many heliocentric systems. Which one are those? And they will say, in this quadrant, here and there. But that's my world. Do you think that I'm kidding here? Do you think that I'm lying here? That's what is going on in front of our eyes. The United States already have been taken over. The European Union have already taken over through their politicians. The UK have already taken over through their politicians. We, the people, have no chance unless we react today and take over. What does that mean? Take over means the banking system, especially the military system, etc. Because military is not investment, it's expense. Please understand this. It's an expense. That's why the United States, among other things, wants to go to the hemisphere, like I said 7 years ago. Anticipated that because they couldn't conquer Bashar al-Assad in Syria yet, it's like when you have but they did it right. They start pushing. They start putting the white helmets, etc. We have spoken about that. They competed with President of Colombia, Juan Manuel Santos, in order to get the Peace Nobel Prize. Oh, guess what? The Peace Nobel Prize went to Juan Manuel Santos, not the white helmets, because it was a competitor. But the white helmets was created by that MI6 agent. Even though the white helmets said we don't receive money from anybody or governments, etc., it has been proven in my programs. I have put that. React Today as part of the World Weather Project 7 years ago or more, because Bashar al-Assad took a decade to take over. It's like a cavity on a tooth. If you don't pay attention to it, it grows until they take over, and that blew last year. And they put the enemies of the world, number one, that really kill Americans. Not like they say Iran. Yeah, some proxies from Iran might be killed some Americans, but nobody have ever killed more Americans than ISIS. Decapitated them, etc., burned them alive, etc. Not only Americans, but other people. In Arabic people in Syria and Iraq and many other countries where they had presence. Iran, or Iran, whatever you want to call it, it starts with I, so it should be Iran, but some people call it Iran in English and whatever. The point is, Iran supported with the United States confronting ISIS. And now, who's the boss in Syria? ISIS, boy. Oh no, I kill and decapitated and I kill Americans like crazy. Who cares? President Trump said, oh, he has a tough life, but he's a good guy and he's also handsome. Oh my God, he's a handsome guy now for Donald Trump. Oh my God. And for Lindsey Graham and for Israel. Oh my God. And 58 times, bow to Israel. Listen, why am I being cynical here? if we don't react today to what's going on, if we don't vote for the right people, if we don't listen to the right media, these idiots like Donald Trump and his entourage and the religious fanatics that they are, praying on top of the Christian evangelicals with Haggai and all those churches, lying to you Christians and stupid you Christian that don't understand that Genesis 12:3 was dead right there, because not even after the next book of the Pentateuch or the Torah, whatever you want to call it, the prophets started to get killed. The prophets started to be envied. Why envied? Because they have the truth. And Israel didn't want to hear the truth. Israel wanted to adore the golden calf. How can we corrupt? How can we divide and conquer? How can we take and take and take and take as an invasive species that they are? The problem is that you Europeans and that you Americans do not understand, with the white supremacists and the idiots like that, that Israel is not going to let you leave. Israel is going to kill the American enterprise. Israel can only be Israel around the world. It's not something that I'm making up. It's something that has been proven. The fact that since the State of Israel was created in 1948, the United States has never been itself again, it is a fact. It's not something that I'm making up. The same happened with the UK and the same happened with the European Union, again, which were the scientific method, which were John Locke, which were how to control ourselves, which were economical understanding with Adam Smith, the rationale of Karl Marx. All these people, even though Karl Marx was a Jew, even though some of the Jews mean good, we cannot trust them all whatsoever. We need to know who is who. But Zionism and the creation of the State of Israel is nothing but an invasive species that has taken over the world. Now, I'm going to finish with this, because I've been talking for a while. The Global South. Not only the United States have killed people, innocent people, running boats in the Caribbean, but now they started a war with Noboa, which was born in the United States. Noboa is the president, Rafael Noboa, of Ecuador. And they started attacking Colombia. Why? Because even though a month after, like I was saying a few minutes ago, the taking over, the kidnapping of President Maduro and his wife, I hope they're okay, and I hope they get back home. Maybe not in a decade. That doesn't mean a month after, on February 3rd, President Petro went to Washington in order to speak with President with puppet Donald Trump. And what happened is that they agree in certain things, and he said, "Oh, that guy is cool," said President Trump. But you know how President Trump operates. He doesn't give a damn about anything. So he started operations in Ecuador because Ecuador had in Manta a base, a military base. Colombia has 7 military bases in its country, thanks to President Uribe, a very corrupt idiot, a genocidal person that should be in jail, is still trying to oppose the new presidency that is running in May the 30th or the 31st this year, in order to elect another progressive president for Colombia, and that is Ivan Duque. But President Petro, an ex-guerrilla fighter, man, that guy has the guts, man. That guy has proven to us, the country and the world, how to open our eyes and our understanding on what is going on. You in Europe, here in Canada, there in the United States, out of the border, we don't want to listen to a third world country telling us what to do. Why will we listen to a third world country? While we should listen to a third world country, what we should do? We told them these bananas republics are going to tell us something. Well, let me tell you, idiots. You blue-eyed assholes like I am. Well, I'm not blue-eyed. My eyes are shiny brown. But I'm a descendant from Deutschland, Holland, the Netherlands. My family came from there. Whether you like it or not, that's the truth. But the point is, we Europeans and our initiatives are already sequestered, kidnapped by that invasive virus and that invasive species that don't let us think whatsoever, whether you're white supremacist or stupid. I don't want Islamists to take over the world either. Don't get me wrong. There's extremists in every religion in the world. Catholics, evangelicals, etc., especially Christian evangelicals, now that they're blessing Donald Trump in their stupidity, they're not praying to God. They're praying to the devil. Let me tell you that. Because they're praying for Israel. And Israel loves the golden calf. And like I said before, Moses have to break the commandments. What the fuck? And even his brothers said, get out of here, Moses. We don't love you anymore. But we have a golden calf. We put our teeth in there. Yeah, we're going to bow to the guy. And they were dancing around it and breaking all the laws that the commandments of God forbidden them to do. And God said, I'm going to raise these guys. Read the prophets. Genesis 12:3 was death in Genesis. It never went through. Till the time of Jesus. Jesus was the one, I repeat, like I said in the last program, who said, hey, Epilon. Hey, the bad administrator. Hey, they kill all your prophets. You kill all your prophets on the way to the synagogue, in between the synagogue and the temple. You killed them. Jesus, and he got killed. And no, you don't get it? Okay. Christian evangelicals and Catholics and evangelicals are so stupid sometimes that it's impossible not to understand that they are, and how religions can be manipulated not only in Christianity, but also in Islam and also in Judaism, which are the Abrahamic religions. I want you to think about that. So I'm going to finish with this. The United States is looking now to get back to Colombia through Ecuador and blaming Colombia for dissidencies of a guerrilla that doesn't exist anymore, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC, and blame them, which doesn't exist, but dissidents from that. So yeah, it's always an enemy. Create an enemy, create a solution, coup d'etat. That's not going to happen. America don't want Ivan Cepeda to be president of Colombia because he is going to win the elections. That's for sure. Maybe in the first round. There's 2 rounds for presidency. And I think very much that Ivan Cepeda is going to win. The United States is against it. The Europeans are against it. The Israelis are against it. The CIA, the MI6, the MI5, the Mossad, the A200. President Petro has more enemies than anybody else in the world. But in the meantime, Iran is proving to the United States that they're stupid, that they're idiots, and that we cannot be controlled by rich idiot banker people, like it happens with Friedrich Merz in Germany, like it's happening with Mark Carney in Canada, even though Canada is still stable, but the inflation is going way too high. BlackRock and Blackstone are taking over the adjustments in home, etc. Canada has a lot of problems that the CBC and the media in Canada is so corrupt, pro-Israeli, etc. And the government in parliament. The same is happening in Europe, and I'm talking about the 27 countries of the European Union, New Zealand, and Australia. Australia shouldn't speak. When I was watching an interview on an Australian channel recently, speaking with Professor Morandi. And Professor Morandi just stopped this woman in each of the points that she was making. But Iran is all Iran, is not Israel. And Code Pink make an intervention saying, hey, we just came out, that was like 3-4 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, when 5, I'm not sure, I'll give you the information. And there was a meeting. Who are the enemies of America? Israel was never mentioned. It's Iran, it's China, it's Russia. Of course, it's always the same ones in the movies, in the games, and PlayStation 3, and Wii, and Y, and whatever. But it's never Israel. That is incredible, man. They're going to bring the war home, like I have said for the last 10 years, to Canada, the European Union, and Israel, like I told to George Galloway. Israel is going to be the head. Because why? Israel don't want Donald Trump. Israel in charge. And whomever comes after him. And whomever comes after Benjamin Netanyahu is going to follow the same pattern. And if you people in America, here in Canada, and they're in the European tradition, again, don't react today to what I just explained to you. we will never have a good civilization. An understanding on civilizations that can develop technology and replace the extractive sources of energy, drill, 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 from others that are not necessarily nuclear. We have plenty of scientists that have been killed, persecuted, poisoned, etc., and their patents taken over. You have to read the book Fire from Ice by Eugene Malov, who was killed, beaten up by 2 thugs, because he said, hey, we can produce energy, and he's mentioned why. That book is out of the shelves now, and he was killed and assassinated like many others, because they want to keep oil and gas industry forever. That will mean the death of our only home in the universe, in the solar system, which is Earth. But we don't know what are the plans of Elon Musk and all the super rich people that already have bunkers underneath the Earth in order to transform and terraform, which is the most dangerous thing. They're terraforming our planet. And war helps big time to terraform the planet when you fill it up with CO2. And Fukushima Daiichi, and all that stuff, radioactive stuff that we don't need. Nuclear is not the solution. Solar, it can be done, but even the panels that solar systems produce are contamination because we cannot recycle it properly. And take a look to this point about the water we're drinking in Canada. Why is it that we're drinking this kind of water? For us, for the country, for the world, hope to see you next time in the next edition of React Today as part of the World's Real Project, Stand Up Politics. 3rd edition. Second, for us, for the country, for the world, hope to see you next time in the next edition of Stand Up Politics on React Today as part of the World's Real Project, 11 years. Au revoir, bye-bye, hasta pronto. Even though I'm laughing, I'm very serious about this. Au revoir.